All righty, guys. So again, today's session is going to be on paid advertising. The idea behind this session is really just to kind of help you guys better understand the mediums that are out there and really what options you guys can apply to your businesses that's going to make the most sense and how to do it effectively. So what we're not going to cover today is the specifics about it. So how to set it up. We're not going to do walkthroughs on those today. That would be on more of a case-by-case or individual basis. But again, today we're hoping that you guys can better understand some of the platforms and maybe look into some new opportunities to help your business grow this year. So to start off here, so first and foremost, pretty much exactly what I just went over here. The concepts that we're going to cover today are things like Google and Bing ads, display advertising, social media, remarketing or retargeting, Google shopping, and video ads. So the way that I start this off is, and normally when I talk to clients about paid advertising, it's that there's a lot of misnomers, misconceptions out there that, people have tons of horror stories, and that's usually because they didn't do it the right way. This is one of those opportunities that can make or break a business. It can be extremely profitable, or it can take you into bankruptcy. It just depends on, how you set it up and all that fun stuff. So the average pay-per-click campaign, I would say for most of my clients, returns about $3 to $5 for every dollar spent, which is a tremendous investment. It doesn't mean that's, always there. Some are lower than that. Some are much higher than that. But just to give kind of a broad range, pay-per-click or paid ads can be a very, very effective way to bring in or generate leads for a business. Some of the various platforms out there, and there are a lot of them. So, pretty much everything is monetized nowadays. So when we look at, obviously, Google, that's the lion's share of the business. Google ads or any of the search ads. So this is going to be Google, Yahoo, Bing. Search ads are fantastic because what it is, and I always call this low-hanging fruit. These are people that are looking for your products and services. So they're obviously the kind of go-to, the more direct, let's just say lead generating platforms. But there's a ton of other branding or other lead generating platforms out there, which are things like social media. You have Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. I mean, these are fantastic platforms that offer an opportunity for a business to really get in front of more people that aren't necessarily maybe looking for your products and services right now, but might have an interest in them or might be somewhere in a buying cycle. So again, there's a time and a place for everything here, and we're going to kind of dive into some of those. So if you guys have questions, now I can't see those quite yet. Jeanette's going to be monitoring those. But again, just put your questions into chat so that I can go through this deck here. And then Jeanette, feel free to interrupt me at any point. You still there, Jeanette?
Jeanette is there. She's just on mute.
I'm here. Yes. So I will go ahead and record those questions, and I will interrupt Chris to get those answers for you.
Just wanted to make sure I didn't lose internet connection there. So, all right. So first up, the first subject that we're going to talk about is search ads. So search ads are the most common types of ads you'll see. I gave an example of one there where we were on Google. I just typed in auto repair Phoenix, and you can see the ad that pops up. Google plays around with this, as do all search engines. So typically it's the top 3 or top 4 search results are going to be paid advertising. They're signified by having this nice little ad symbol right here. So you'll obvious little, hey, somebody paid for this positioning there. And the nice part about it is, I mean, it's incredible visibility. To get to the top spot in Google, that's a prized position to be at. Depending on the heading or the industry, this can be costly. So when we look at auto repair in Phoenix, this top spot, and sorry, internet showing a little, there we go. All right. So this top spot right here can go per click. It just depends. Some of the most expensive clicks out there are going to be for our attorneys, stuff like that. A DUI attorney, to give you an example, on like 4th of July or something like that is going to really run in about the $400 to $500 a click range. So you can see it can be extremely expensive. On the flip side of that, we have campaigns that are running an average cost per click in the 50 cents to $1.50 range. Just depends on what it is. So every industry is different. Every targeting is different. There's no uniform way to do this. It really takes time to set it up the right way. And what I encourage businesses to do that are doing it on their own is take your time. Do not let Google automate the process for you. I know that sounds, really, really, really easy to do. Just, hey, let me throw some money at it and let Google generate results for me. I can tell you that's the quickest way to bankruptcy, because Google, when they take liberties, they take liberties. And trust me, you'll start generating traffic for things that you had no idea it's just not useful for you. So do yourself a favor. If you're going to take this on yourself, learn the platform, learn the different tools and resources you have at your disposal. And I promise you, it'll make for a very successful campaign for you. So some of the pros and cons here. Again, search ads, visibility, more traffic, it's targeted, and you get some really good analytics off of it. The idea behind this is when you pay attention to analytics, you develop different processes for the future. So what you do is you learn from your mistakes. The cons of search ads, the costs. Sometimes they can be very, very expensive. Time needing to manage. Again, you have to get in there. These are typically not set it and forget it programs. If you want it done the right way and you want to get the most out of your money, you really need to dedicate the time to manage this. And then also the setup or learning curve. It can take time, obviously, with so many components of search, each platform being different as well. It can be challenging to learn, but if you take the time to learn the platform, it can be very profitable for you.
No, that is certainly true. Google can be, I guess one of the rules of thumb on anything that you're doing on digital advertising is that the easier it is and the less work it takes to set up, the more likely you are to not get good performance. Always remember, Google is in business to make Google money. Facebook is in business to make Facebook money. And when they create something that's really simple to use, they're hoping that because it's easy and doesn't take much time, people will spend money on it for that reason. Obviously, as a business, we want to make sure that we're spending money and advertising so we can get a good return. So Google is definitely something that they have a lot of automated tools out there that make setup easy. But again, the easier the setup is, probably the more likely the poor performance you're going to get on that. Also, one thing I do want to say about Google is that of all the digital aspects out there, I have found that Google will typically produce the highest quality lead. So in some of these situations, you may find that it's maybe a little more expensive than maybe some other avenues, maybe social or something like that. But I think what you're going to find is that typically, you may get a lead that's a little more expensive, but a higher percentage of them may turn into a good buyer. And the reason is it's really based on intent. People are searching for you, they find you. That's a reason for them going to your site and making a decision. So, if you're comparing 3 different advertising revenues and you see Google may be a little higher, I would take a step further and see how many of those people are actually leading to long-term sales, and things like that, and really analyze it, not just on the front end, but on the back end.
Hello, Chris.
Yes, ma'am.
Hey, Chris, can you speak up a little bit? We got a comment saying that it's really hard to hear you.
Oh, I will yell.
One final thing I want to say before we move on off this is that Bing is real good to use as well, but typically what I find is that Bing will get you a lower cost lead than Google, but you maybe get about 20% of the budget out of it. Not as many people are on Bing, which is good and bad. The good is you have less competition, so again, you're going to win the auction for a lower cost. But again, you just don't have that opportunity to scale like you would with Google and other platforms. So Chris, back to you.
Yeah, and Tom brings up a good point. A lot of people, Google's very saturated. And so, with that said, you're going to be competing against obviously a lot of businesses in your area, obviously being a major metro. Me being up here in Oregon right now, we're in a small town. There is virtually no competition. So if you're an auto repair shop, you pretty much can have the run of the mill. But if you're in Glendale or a major metro, that can be a challenge. So kind of a pro tip for you would be even if you're in Glendale, if you're marketing to smaller communities out there, they are typically less saturated. So really think about that. How far does your reach go? Where can you advertise that might not be just absolutely slammed? I mean, again, you may look at a town like Dewey, or you may look at something like Prescott. Well, Prescott's pretty saturated, but you may look at Pine Top or something like that as, hey, I do business there, but maybe that'll be a better advertising platform for you, or a better geography to run an ad campaign for. So just, some food for thought. All right, so we're going to move on here, and let's go ahead and talk about display ads. Everybody's challenges. So obviously display ads, it's a method of attracting an audience on a website, social platform, or other digital medium. Sorry, there we go. Another specific medium to take an action. So these are very inexpensive. You see them across the board. They can be on, ABC 15. They can be, really anywhere and everywhere. What happens is, just like before, you create an ad. There's a variety of platforms that you can do that on, Canva, so on and so forth. Those are free. But what you do is, if you've ever seen, like here on, a news website, you see that top banner that pops up, or you see this little square here. On mobile, they're all over the place too. As annoying as those can be, they can be extremely effective. They are a phenomenal branding resource for a business. They don't generate nearly as much as maybe some other campaigns do. But again, they're not necessarily just designed for clicks. A lot of the times, and what we use them for is retargeting ads, which we'll talk about a little bit later. But really, again, just keeping your business top of mind to a consumer. So think about this. Think about display ads like a banner along the freeway. If you're going to buy a billboard and you're going to throw it up along I-10, that's one method of display advertising, not necessarily a digital display, but again, it's a method of display advertising. Imagine doing the same thing online and getting in front of more people for a lower cost. That would display advertising here. So fantastic medium. There's a variety of ways that campaigns get run. Again, most commonly is on a cost per click basis, but you can buy based on impressions, so on and so forth. Pros and cons to this. Again, pros, low cost per click. You get dynamic visuals, which is awesome. So I really want to explain the difference between search and display. Search, you're going after somebody who's searching for your products and services. There are no visuals with that. That's just a line item listing, a website URL, so on and so forth. You're really concentrating on your content there. On display ads, we're concentrating on the visuals. We want that dynamic visual, that branding that really catches somebody's attention. The other pro is reach, diversity. So again, diversity being you're not just advertising on Google, you're advertising on Google and other display networks, which are millions of websites, not just thousands, not tens of thousands, but millions of websites that are high traffic, high converting websites. Things like Fox News, ABC 15 or ABC. You have a variety of networks in there. And again, there's literally millions when I say it. You have a broad reach with that. The cons, ad blockers. These are very common nowadays where people don't want to be pestered by ads. And we get that. Unfortunately, some people are more technology savvy than others. And so they know how to implement ad blockers and turn off ad tracking and stuff like that. It's not a guarantee, and it certainly doesn't eliminate these ads and their visibility, but it does help to reduce them. Load time, if you have those dynamic visuals, or you'll see commonly video ads, stuff like that running on a website. If you're on a mobile device, or like you're in a small town like Brookings, Oregon, that doesn't have the best internet connection, Well, those can be impactful. They can skip, they can bog down, they can create problems. And so not always the best option there. And then transparency with the data. Every platform reports something different. And so or data that we get out of those is just impressions. So the number of times an ad was shown. What we don't know, and what unfortunately some platforms provide better data than others, but what you don't know is necessarily the demographics behind it. You don't know how long somebody watched it. A lot of assumptions are made in this data. And so again, it's not quite like search where it's literally your ad was shown this many times, this many people clicked on it, blah, blah, blah. No, it's not quite that great. So, but again, I think in my professional opinion, the pros definitely outweigh the cons.
No, I agree. And kind of in my experience, I use it with two different philosophies, top of funnel and bottom of funnel. Now, in my business, I generate a lot more leads rather than selling projects directly. So there's probably a good middle funnel application as well. But what I like at the top of funnel is you can really get your name out there in front of people, and you can do it at a very, very low cost. And when people click on your ads and go to your site, you can then begin remarketing them. With either more Google display or, if you're using other social media and advertising media as well. So what I like about it too is that you can split test a lot of different images and a lot of different copy and get results fast and at a very, very low price. So a lot of times when I start with this, I'll start with display first before I even do my search campaign, just so I can see what messaging is getting more clicks, what messaging has a higher CTR, and if fortunate, what messaging at the top of funnel is able to go ahead and lead to conversions. And a lot of times I can use some of that data to help me in other marketing messages, whether it be search or getting on Facebook or LinkedIn or something else. So there's a lot of data that you can purchase as well to see what's working, what messaging is good. We will be talking a little bit more about remarketing, so I'll go to talk about that later. But yeah, display can definitely get you very low cost information very fast.
Awesome. All right, everybody's favorite, social media ads. So when social ads, it's really kind of a broad topic. We can break down each of the different platforms and, kind of go into more specifics, on a one-on-one basis. But social ads as a whole are obviously growing in popularity. Looking at COVID-19, the fact is a lot of people have resorted to social media for their information. They're spending more and more time on Facebook, on Twitter, on LinkedIn, on Instagram. And it's this quest to connect with the outside world. Or while we're going through this, again, social can be a fantastic platform to reach your target audience. The thing that I emphasize here is your target audience, because every platform has a different one. I would not put the same message on LinkedIn that I would on Facebook, and the same thing with Twitter versus Instagram, so on and so forth. Every platform has its time and its place. And so what I always encourage, if you've been a part of my conversations or been a part of these classes before, is you really need to focus on understanding your target audience. Where are they coming from? And then again, to that platform, how do you target to them most effectively? Some services out there, I use Zoho, there's Hootsuite, there's a variety of programs out there that more or less automate that message for you, and you can look at your data or the analytics on each platform to better understand, hey, where are people coming? How are people viewing my page? When are they viewing my page? When's the best time to target them? So again, you'll hear a consistent theme with me is that you really need to pay attention to your analytics. If you're doing this on your own, this is what's going to help you, be successful at marketing online. Pros and cons, again, social ads, they're extremely targeted, especially, Facebook. There's so many demographics, interests, behaviors, so many things that you can nail down. Again, this expertise comes with time. It comes with understanding your client. So if you want to eliminate or reduce the amount of what I call ad waste is where, you're spending money and you're not reaching the right target audience. Ad waste is going to happen in any campaign. But again, can start limiting that by focusing in on that targeted market. The more granular you can get, the less leads that are going to come in, but the more targeted those leads are, and typically the better the conversion is. Other benefits are large target audience. I mean, again, you can, if you're a retail store in Glendale and you want to just open up to anybody and everybody, well, you can do that. Versus if you're an insurance agent and you're trying to sell business insurance, well, you can be very targeted on that. Social ads are extremely easy to set up. Again, I call them one-click wonders, where you can pretty much boost a post or, you know, start generating leads to your website with very, very little effort. Again, the easier the setup, to Tom's point, typically the not so great the results. So just keep that in mind. Try to, you know, really focus on setting them up the right way. Other ones is user engagement. Again, you're using dynamic visuals in social ads to really engage a target audience. So there's options for comments, so on and so forth. With a con too, if you have the risk of negative comments. So really be prepared for that. The cons, again, time needed to manage. You got to invest some time into this. Risk of negative comments or engagement. You got to be ready for that person that will troll you. It's going to happen. I have some of the best clients in the entire world. These are amazing people, and I don't know why anybody would. And then lastly is difficult to measure. Sometimes, again, when you have broad campaigns like this, sometimes the data isn't as clear as we might want it to be. And again, when you look at the difference between search campaigns, display, social, and all these other platforms out there, there's no consistency between them. So you have to understand the data for each platform in order to understand how successful or not successful you are.
One of the things I love about social, whether it be Facebook or LinkedIn or even YouTube and stuff, is that you have an opportunity to take kind of a colder lead and turn it into a warmer lead at an inexpensive price. So when we talked about Google has a high quality lead, typically because it's intent-based results. Somebody is looking for a solution to a problem. They see you. Their intent is to do something about solving the problem. On Facebook or LinkedIn or YouTube or whatever, it's a little different. Somebody on YouTube didn't go to YouTube to buy your product. But the fact of the matter is people who are on Facebook do buy your product. So what you need to do a lot of times is just find a way to get in front of them, but just realize the first time they see you, they're probably not exactly going to buy something from you, or they're not going to give you their email information, phone number, and allow you to generate a lead. So the cool thing with, and I'll use like Facebook and LinkedIn as good examples, is that you can really put something out there like a video, and then you can remarket people who take an action, or you can put a blog out there. You can remarket people who go to a certain page. And so I want you to consider this. Consider you do a 1-minute video and you're talking about yourself or your product or this or that or what you can offer. Maybe you sell life insurance, maybe you're a realtor, maybe you're this or that. You could target people, but it doesn't necessarily mean they're in market. Well, what you could do with a 1-minute video is you could go ahead and talk a little bit about who you are, what you do, why you do it. You could do that for a minute, and then you can track it on Facebook. You can see anybody who watched 15 seconds of that video, or 30 seconds of that video, 45 seconds of that video, or even the entire video. And what you could do is you could craft a remarketing message to that person. So if somebody just watched 15 seconds, maybe you want to send them information about a blog. If somebody watched a full minute, maybe you want to go ahead and send them information, a chance to go ahead and book an appointment with you. So the great thing is that it's very simple to set up a funnel like this on Facebook. It's very simple to do the same thing on LinkedIn. So I want to kind of give you the ideas of what you could do. Obviously, we're not going to go into how to do it, but you can get really creative. You could, instead of trying to just market to somebody one time and it's like, oh, I've got one chance to get them to buy my product, you actually, with the tracking mechanisms of Facebook, and as a marketer, I love the tracking mechanisms of Facebook. Now, I understand if you're not marketing, you may not like how Facebook tracks you as much. Kind of a hot topic nowadays. But as a marketer, you get a lot of information, and the overall good is that you're able to put your offer and your message in front of people who are actually interested. And that's one of the biggest benefits of social. And it's one of the things that I like as somebody who uses social. I want to see an ad that's relevant to me. I don't really want to see ads that aren't relevant to me. It's kind of like a television commercial. So with this, you have an opportunity to target somebody, and if they show interest, to go ahead and give your offer to somebody who's a little warmer, and that can help you generate a higher quality lead at a lower cost.
All I'm going to say is I want to be in the AP fire room right now with Molly, because they look like they are having a riot over there, laughing and giggling the entire time. So thank God my video's not on, because then I'd be self-conscious.
Sorry,
right.
sorry, Curtis walked in. We were poking him.
No judgment, no judgment, none of my business. So, all right, moving on here. Remarketing ads. So Tom brought this up, and this is one of those controversial, let's just say, if there's controversy in paid advertising, this is one of those things that people can be uncomfortable with. However, they're extremely effective. A remarketing ad is a version of a pay-per-click campaign that you can run to re-engage an audience. And so what retargeting ads do is, this analogy with my clients, we spend a lot of money investing in getting the awareness out about our products and services. We have tons of traffic that come to our website every single day. Now, it's understandable, you're not going to get tons of lead forms, tons of phone calls necessarily. A lot of people come to your site to research your products, to just see what it is you have to offer, so on and so forth, maybe compare you against a competitor. And what ends up happening is that conversion might happen down the road, but why would you leave that to chance? Remarketing allows us to get that dynamic visual back out in front of that person over and over again to help remind them about your products and services and why you should be the selected option. So remarketing, how does this happen? So I gave a little visual down there about kind of the step-by-step, somebody visits the site, they leave, they go into other sites, and then to that display advertising concept that we talked about before. Whenever somebody visits your site, Google, or any search engine for that matter, with the exception of a couple, there are a couple privacy browsers out there that don't do this, but for the most part, most browsers will provide, or websites will put a cookie on your computer. We've all heard of that term before. So it's a little search query that's embedded into your temporary internet files that just shows what your interest might be. Ad traffic, all sorts of stuff is generated around those little tracking mechanisms that are on your computer. So again, no matter where you go, what website you go to, sometimes you'll see on those websites, they have little pop-ups that say, hey, this website uses cookies, so on and so forth, blah, blah, blah. So when that happens, again, these ad services are tracking that your search history online, so that way they can serve up better ads that meet your, let's just say, interests, okay? So when we look at this, again, visitor comes to your website, they leave without taking an action, they ABC, whatever it is, and all of a sudden, here's an ad for your business again. So they were just on your website, and now they see your ad again and again and again. And so what happens is, to them. And again, it has a phenomenal rate of return, again, when you use it the right way. So the pros of retargeting ads, fantastic branding resource. They're very, very cost effective, and you can really create a personalized message. And that's important. Again, somebody that's looking for a specific, and again, this depends on how in depth you want to go with it, but you can retarget people differently from various pages, so on and so forth. There's so many opportunities with this. The cons, ads can be viewed as annoying. So just like display advertising, people can get that negative, kind of sentiment towards you. It is what it is. I don't find that to be as common. Again, ad blockers can limit visibility. That is true. And people can be uncomfortable with the concept of websites tracking them. I'm here to tell you, I understand, some of those concerns. I get some of those questions almost every single day. The concept of, being anonymous online is is just not there. It's not possible. Everywhere you go, everything you do is tracked, whether you want it to be that way or not. So the only option is don't go on the internet, but that's not going to happen either. So I always tell clients, get comfortable with being uncomfortable, because that is the norm, is what's going to happen. There's nothing that's going to change that. So fact is, websites are going to track you. And I say, as a business owner, you need to use this as an opportunity to connect with your clients and then to increase your conversions.
Now, Chris, I definitely agree. A lot of times when I talk about a funnel with my clients, they'll ask, well, what percentage should be like the top of the funnel and what percentage should be remarketing? And my answer is the percentage on remarketing should be about as much as possible. And the reason is this, do you want to sell to somebody who's heard of you before, or do you want to sell to somebody who's never heard of you before? And obviously, the warmer the market that you get, the better results you're going to have. So I always kind of look at the top of the funnel as my goal is not necessarily to get a lead or to make a sale from that. It's more to sort. I'm not selling, I'm sorting. So what I want to do is I want to have display ads that if they're interested, they could click and learn something about me, or not. If they have no interest, then I'm not going to bother to market them again. Same thing with video ads, especially. Somebody watches at least 15 seconds of a video, well, that's kind of their way of raising their hand to say, I have a little bit of an interest. But if somebody doesn't even make it 5 seconds, then I'm not going to bother that person again. And what that does is it allows me to build my funnel for remarketing with higher intent people. And the more higher intent people I can have in my funnel, the more success I'm going to have in my remarketing, the more leads I'll make, the more sales I get, and the better my return I make. So, if I could put in $1 and get $5 back, how much money would I put in? And the answer, all of it, because that's a great return. And that's why we do marketing, is to get that kind of return. And again, like I said, the more focus you put on remarketing, the more successful you'll be. Back to you, Chris. All right.
Yeah, perfect. And like I said, to me and for all of my clients, if I'm going to invest in a pay-per-click ad, that is going to cost whatever amount, it doesn't really matter. I insist on clients that 25% of the budget typically is also invested for remarketing, because again, per click, you really need to get the biggest bang for your buck, and that's going to come from a remarketing campaign. You already spent the money to get them to your website. They clicked on your ad. They came to your website. They may or may not have engaged, and so here's an opportunity to kind of get that, get them back in, if you will. So definitely, every business should at some point engage in remarketing or retargeting ads. Next up is Google Shopping. So for those of us who have retail products that you can sell online, Google Shopping is fantastic. And in fact, a little bit of great news is that right now it's free. Google's actually charging this during COVID-19, or for as long as I guess they want to. But Google Shopping ads are fantastic. We have a little blog on it on our website if you want to read up more on it. But it's a fantastic way to get your products and services out there. The caveat to that, this is what it looks like on Google. So I just did a simple search for desk in Phoenix, Arizona. And not all categories are applicable to this. But again, most retail, if you're shopping for T-shirts or some type of tangible product, you can typically have this option. The challenge is this: when you see Google search or Google Shopping ads, you can see diversity in what they provide here. It's an automated process. There's a lot of what we refer to as window shopping that gets done here. It's fairly new, so it's not as widely adopted yet with consumers. But again, it's free. So right now I would learn how to do it. It's really, out of all the ads we're going to talk about today, this one is the easiest one. It really is. It's super easy to set up. It is pretty much a automated, they call it smart shopper or smart shopping, I think it is. And again, it's one that Google doesn't provide you a lot of data. They don't allow too many controls. It's just, here's my product. This is what I sell it for. Here's my visual, here's my description, and go. Here's my budget, so on and so forth, set it off. So again, very, very simple to sell, or very, very simple to use. And so if you have the opportunity, try it. Pros and cons. Oh. So, sorry, pros and cons to this. Again, not a lot of data. It doesn't offer you a lot of flexibility. The other con is you're going to really be competing against a lot of other big players. Wayfarers, as you can see, if you're in the furniture business, or Wayfair does a lot of things, but a lot of big players are in this. Recently, eBay was in this. They pulled those out. They're not doing that anymore. So again, try to play around with it. Not a lot of data behind it, not a lot of information that you can really kind of pull from and perfect. That might come over time, but again, it's relatively new. So I always tell clients, if you want to grow with Google, here's an opportunity for you to grow with Google.
Yeah, that I just realized something. I lied at the beginning. I said there's never a situation where if you use one of their simple automated tools, it gives you good performance. I was wrong. Google Shopping is that. Their dynamic ads and stuff are the same way. This is actually something that just goes in, and Facebook with their dynamic ads are kind of the same way. They go out there based on somebody's interests. They'll pluck out a good picture and the description for it and put it out there with very little effort on your behalf. Chris, for shopping ads, do you have the ability to upload a list?
Last time I checked, and I haven't done one of these in a while, I believe you do, but I'd have to check further, to be honest with you. For most of the time, for most clients, we don't do these for clients, only because it's really not worth paying me to do it when they can do it themselves. So this is one of those for me, and again, other marketing companies may set them up for clients. For me, I feel like it's user-friendly enough that most clients can do and manage it all on their own.
No, I agree. And one thing I do want to talk about, and this is probably more Facebook for Facebook's version of shopping ads, is that Facebook, whether you're using this or whether really you're using it for anything, if you have a client list of at least 1,000 people that have either purchased something or opted in for something for lead generation, what you can do is you can upload those emails to Facebook, and that'll create a custom audience. And what Facebook will do is it'll match those emails with their Facebook account. Then what Facebook will do is you can create a lookalike audience, and Facebook will look at the psychodemographics of those 1,000 people and look at what they have in common and this and that, and it'll create an audience of 2 million people throughout the United States who share a similar interest. Then you compare down by your region, and you actually have, instead of a cold audience, you have a little bit of a warmer audience that, according to Facebook, thinks that these are people who are going to be more likely to want to buy your product, or more likely to want to go to your website, or more likely to want to opt in for whatever you're offering. So sometimes with a little bit of list management, you can really enhance your marketing results.
We have a question from the chat box. Are Google Shopping ads free? And I'm going to add to that. If not, is there such thing as Google credits, like Google credit ads?
Shopping ads, again, this is normally a paid service for Google. They take a percentage or a fee for service, but right now it is free. So they announced, and I'd have to check on the exact date. It was a few weeks ago that they announced that they were going to do this for free for the time being. So I would take advantage now. If you do have products that you can sell online, definitely go in there and try to get those set up as soon as possible. Just understand that down the road, you will have to pay for this. This will be something that they will charge for, just like if you're a contractor like A&P Fire, you can set up Google guaranteed ads, which is very similar to this, where that's their version of service ads. So these are for shopping. Then you also have Google service ads. They are not, Google service ads or Google guarantee is not free right now.
And what was the question about credits, Jeanette?
Yes, I know Google has been also sending out existing like Google My Business accounts, like credits, like if you want to use Google credits to do an ad.
Yeah, so Google has incentives for first-time users. Periodically, they will provide you with a free $100 to try out Google, so on and so forth. those are great introductions. I mean, if you're going to dabble in paid search, again, do it the right way. Don't just go and take their automated incentive and I'll take their $100 and go run $100 in ads. Normally, that credit is applied to spend 100, get 100, or spend 150, get 150. So you have that incentive. Google also offered, I think it's 800 million in credits to existing advertisers over the next year. And so we've seen a couple of clients that have gotten those Google credits so far. They're not sizable. They're typically in that $100 to $200 range. So it's nothing that's going to make or break your business this year. But, you know, for existing advertisers that have been on Google and have been doing paid ads, periodically Google will provide these incentives or these special offers. And so again, it really just kind of helps make that dollar go even further.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I will do as well, not just with Google My Business, but before I do any kind of Google ads, I'll always want to start up a Google Analytics account, because I know within about 5 or 10 days I'll get an email for like $150 credit. So, you know, I wasn't aware that Google My Business did that as well, but yeah, it's always a good idea to do that, and that's a good incentive for people to go ahead and start it out. But yeah, like Chris says, you're typically going to have to spend whatever amount that is to get that credit as well.
Awesome. All right. So let's move on to video ads. So last but certainly not least, video ads. This is really the future. And you'll hear me in any of my classes. I preach this. If you're uncomfortable being in front of a video, you really need to get comfortable with it. Especially since we're in lockdown, you know, retail traffic, you're not getting all those pretty faces into your store anymore. You know, it's a new world that we live in now. And so, you know, I'm a big advocate, and the analogy I use is always, you know, what sells our products and services most of the time is us. We are the face of our businesses. We are the ones that people trust to purchase from. And so with this lack of that face conferencing and stuff like that, there's an element that's lost. And so you really, really, really need to try to find different ways to kind of get that visual, get in front of clients, and really invoke that trust factor. And so again, video, YouTube, Vimeo, whatever one you decide to use or want to use, even Facebook, I mean, Insta video, all of the Instagram TV, excuse me, all of these video services are phenomenal opportunities for you to have a little FaceTime with your clients. And again, understand that it is one way, you're really just kind of talking. It's not an engagement, more or less. But it's, again, that great dynamic visual to help people remind them, or potential consumers remind them that you're buying from me. I'm not a faceless, nameless, you know, individual. Here I am. Another analogy is human. People understand that there's a living, breathing person behind this, not just some money-hungry monster corporation that, you know, is taking everything and running. This is, you're feeding a family, you're investing in a community, you know, so on and so forth. So video is a phenomenal platform. Get very, very comfortable with it. The biggest objections that we hear with video is that, you know, I don't know what to produce. Yes, you do. You do know what to produce. You just don't want to produce it. Produce comes from the questions that your businesses ask you, or your consumers, you know, your clients ask you every single day. You know, I always tell clients, think about the top 10 questions you get asked. There's 10 videos right there that you can produce. If you're having a sale or a promotion or anything, you want to feature, if you're a blog writer, if you really enjoy, you know, creating your own content, well, you should enjoy creating videos too, because they go hand in hand. So if you've ever heard of a video blog or a blog, again, all of this plays into each other. So really, 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 if you take one thing away from this session today, it is that you need to invest in video. Now, with that said, video is not, it's an evolving technology. It's an evolving ad source. So arguably it's not perfected yet. Let's just say that. In the world. So again, lots of traffic in there. A lot of the times people get annoyed with those auto start videos, and hey, I get it, but you can't deny they are extremely effective. If you can't skip ahead, you're watching that entire 30-second or 1-minute video, and it's agonizing, and you grin the whole way through it. But guess what? You just watched a minute of that product's video, and I promise you, you'll remember it, whether you want to or not. Hopefully, it's not for a negative reason, but you will remember that video. So video ads are extremely targeted. You can go on YouTube. You can plug in people's interests. You can plug in different search criteria, whatever it is you want, so that, again, you're really you're hyper-focused on what it is that you want to target. Engagement. It's forced engagement, or it can be, to where you require them to watch the video in order to pay for the ad. Those ads are more expensive, just to let you know. Or you can offer the option to skip. Statistically speaking, 64% of the population, when offered an option to skip ahead, they take it. That may seem like a lot, and it is. That is the majority of people. They're skipping ahead. But let's not forget about the 46% that's still watching the entire video, and they have the option to skip ahead. So, I think it's a phenomenal resource. I've run plenty of video ads for clients before, and they are phenomenal branding resources. They really, really, really help accent, different aspects of these of my client's business. So what we do for clients is very, very targeted, very, very deliberate. What you might use it for could be that, or it could be just broad. It could just be, hey, we're open for business. Maybe you want to run an ad that just says, you know what, sorry, I'm going to pick on Molly since she keeps laughing over there, but maybe it's AMP Fire, and they want to run an ad, a targeted video ad to commercial clients in the Glendale area, just letting them know about risks of safety hazards associated with fires in buildings and how they're a solution. You could put together a very easy 30-second video on that, and you're educating. You're not selling anything. You're educating clients, and that would be a great use of it. Or if you're, Francis, and you have a talk radio show, that's awesome. Maybe you're talking about the features and benefits of your show and how you target small businesses. So the point being is that there's tons of opportunity in this, and it shouldn't be just thrown to the wayside. The cons on it is ad website abandonment. So you can ad skip. Again, that 64% of people will skip through the ads. Consumers' attention span is another challenge. Younger demographics have a very, very short attention span. 15 seconds is usually, if you're in that 18 to 24 range, you got about 15 solid seconds before they're off in La La Land. As you get older, again, you can typically keep those people engaged a little bit longer, but no more than a minute. Probably, if I were to give a time span, usually 30-second ads are the most effective. 15 to 30 seconds is really what we recommend. Market saturation, because they're new and there's only limited number of platforms that offer it, there's not a lot of places that you can run video ads, and those are getting more and more saturated every day. Now, again, I wouldn't say they're overly saturated right now, but in a major metro, that's bound to happen. Production, a lot of clients think that they need to have, Steven Spielberg direct their video. I can tell you that's not the case. Some of the best videos I've seen are created with an iPhone or an iPad and, done at home. So I think production value, sure, there's a time and a place for that Super Bowl commercial, but the reality is most people just want to see a genuine commercial, and that can be done all at home. And then another con is users' ability to watch on mobile. So we talked before about, running video ads and how, if you don't have great internet service, that can be a challenge. So that can impact you, but overall, to me, it's worth that con. Those pros far outweigh these cons.
Yeah, and video, there's actually more to video ads too than just YouTube. So I'm kind of going to go easy on you guys as compared to what Christopher was saying is, if you're not comfortable putting a camera in front of you, then YouTube's probably not the way to go. But you can do video ads on Facebook. You can do video ads on LinkedIn. And on those platforms, they don't necessarily listen. You have to actually click a button to get people to listen. And because you have to take an action, only 85% will listen. So you can get away with using more text. You could do like slideshow videos with text coming in and stuff like that. You could do more how-to videos to demonstrate certain things, and people will watch that. So kind of what Chris was saying at the beginning is that you're not necessarily always going to have the same message or the same image or the same video in every platform. So you do want to know your audience, and you do want to know what platform is going to be best for that. So if you're truly uncomfortable with putting yourself in front of a camera, then Facebook and LinkedIn may be better for you. Like I said, using text videos and using how-to and demonstration videos. But going back to YouTube, if you are going to use a YouTube video, the biggest mistake that I see people make is that they feel like they have to introduce themselves or something like that, to where they come off in the first 5 seconds as kind of boring, nothing exciting, nothing that's going to want to make somebody with a short attention span continue to watch. So you want to have like your most engaging, outrageous question, something that's really going to get somebody's attention in that first 5 seconds. And then it's just from there, you're sorting, not selling. You know, after that 5 seconds, if they thought you were engaging and you're hitting a pain point, great. They'll continue listening. If not, they'll skip. But what you really want to do is come up with your best tagline, or ask your most obnoxious or outrageous question right off the bat to get him to go past that 5 second mark. So that was all I had on that, Chris.
No, and it's a great point. You know, honestly, video slideshows, you look at, again, this is to Tom's point about how platforms work. You know, people that get on Facebook, they're not necessarily looking for that video ad. So video slideshows are fantastic for those. Text slides, stuff like that. I mean, if you're in the middle of a meeting and all of a sudden you're scrolling through Facebook and that loud, obnoxious audio comes on and you get called out for, you know, not paying attention, that can be frustrating. And so that's where, you know, these video slideshows and stuff, those are great options. So, you know, play with it, have fun. There are plenty of programs out there that are free that you can create video slideshows on. You can create little text ads. Facebook even has an automated version, although I'm not a fan of that's, if that works for you. But, you know, don't be afraid to invest time into these things. Like I said, everything that we talked about today has the potential to generate an ROI. What you're doing. And so, you know, again, a selfish plug for companies like Tom and I is that, you know, when we do these for clients, believe me when I say they are extremely profitable for a client. They work, we do them the right way, so we can save you guys some time and money if you guys do need help with that. But again, I also don't want you to be afraid to try. You know, I always say fail forward. That's what we all do. We're all guilty of it, myself included. I've been in this business a long time. I found a million ways not to run a video ad, a million ways not to do a pay-per-click ad. So, you know, you can leverage that experience, but also you can grow yourself. And again, you know, learn some ways not to do it. Just, you know, obviously that's on your dime now.